Hey guys, instead of sending you this video super late like I have been in the last couple days, I'm just going to do it right after the market so that we can watch it. And if you guys have any questions, you can email me back. And anyways, so today was kind of cool, but that late squeeze in the afternoon was kind of vicious there. For the majority of the day, I actually was asleep, and for the open up until about 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, just wasn't feeling that great. But watched where we opened and where we tested today to see if we could get back underneath that low volume, that huge high volume node here. I'll expand the daily. You guys can see. So this really large black high volume node on the black composite is about 1157 and 3/4, 1158. So yesterday I mentioned that I had no idea where the heck we were going to go this morning, and just kind of wait and see what would happen. I guess we opened up around 1165, 1164 3/4. Tested, made a high, an IB high, I think that was, of about 1170. Couldn't test the open of yesterday, and came back in down towards this area. And this is kind of when I rolled out of bed, threw on some puts, and tried to see if we can retest the lows from yesterday. And that's kind of what we did. And it was neat, and also neat to see that we broke that yellow trend line, made a low of today of about 1133 half. So we kind of hit this high volume node here on the black composite, which is also in the range of about the highs of these two bars down here, and we bounced. So all in all, over what we saw today simply was that the market thought it was way too cheap down here, and we brought it back into range, right back smack dab. Why are we closing almost all the time here? 1, 2, 3 here. Anytime you see what happens on the ES at 1157, 1158, it's interesting because it's just such a sticky area, and it's always an area that we want to come back to. It's a comfy zone, and that's exactly where we closed today. So the telling figure, which I should have taken note of, was on the hourly chart that this morning star candle pattern was clearly bringing us back up into the balanced area around. This should have been a target. I had puts on and kept on fighting the trend. And Justin asked me today that down here when this bar was sitting like around about 1139, 1137ish, I was figuring that we might try to test this close of about 1130 and 1127. Didn't get there, but if it had gotten above this yellow trend line and back into yesterday's range, which would be the low of, at least the low of yesterday, then I would probably take off some puts and not keep any overnight. And that's not true. I still have some puts overnight. And kind of coinciding with Lee's call on SDS, she put out, I forget, 125 call for next week's expiration. That makes me a little bit feeling better that I have puts on, I guess. But whatever happens with the market happens with the market. We could easily test back up here on this white trend line and see areas probably back into the 1173-ish range. We got to get above today's high to do so. So I'm not sure what the futures are going to do tonight, but that's kind of where we should have looked to probably flip back on calls and use this high volume node area as a target, looking at that end of day squeeze. A lot of people say it's short covering, a lot of people say it's buying. Who cares? The fact of the matter is that the market simply thinks that this area down here is too cheap for the time being. So let me just move this. I'm going to keep it really short today, guys. So I came in today probably around, we had made a low of 11:49ish yesterday, which is about the close of yesterday in the early morning session. Came back, tested IB high, IB low. You know, in the last video I said IB high, I actually meant IB low, so just keep that in mind. This yellow line down here is the low of the IB range. This is the high of the IB range. So try to get over the midpoint, couldn't do so. I have this red trend line as a means of saying where we could retest, and I thought we would have failed back here. I'm going to highlight this actually, because this was my line in the sand to say that, okay, even though we got above the lows of yesterday back into this range, we could easily retest this 1149 area and fail and come back down and test and revisit this 1127 area, which is my south target. Didn't happen, blew through that trend line, blew through midpoint. I mean, all these areas should have said, okay, keep going long, and we didn't do so. So going back towards the middle of the day, when it failed IB high here, I wasn't even out of bed yet, and I probably came down about right here is when I started putting on my puts, and it just so graciously broke below the yesterday's close, and that was now which was one support now becomes resistance. So we broke back tested, couldn't get above, and now downside targets were here 1139 naked VPOC from the previous few days before, and we just kind of chopped around. This is wild here because you're getting like these probably 5-7 point swings that could easily stop you out, and I know that Arnie, even myself and a few others got head faked a few times here. So we came down, we got to that 1134.50 area, which what I was thinking of, this high volume node area, and we actually ticked past it one point, and then whoosh, that was the beginning of the short squeeze come the last hour of trading. So those are just kind of things that I was watching. I was right one way, I was wrong the other. Still had a good day. I know Keith kicked ass. We had a fun time in there today, and closing right back at IB low. IB low just happens to coincide with that really large high volume node on the daily composite here. So that's where we closed. So probably took about a few more stops out above, and then came right and settled back down right at that high volume node area. Anyways, tomorrow, don't know what's going to happen. I'll send this chart out so you guys can see what the volume profile says, and if you guys want to use it to trade SPY options, feel free to do so, or if you use it to gauge any other types of levels that you're trading on individual names, then hope it works out. Give me some feedback, guys. Let me know how this is, if you're understanding it. If you're not understanding it, anything you guys don't understand, I'm totally willing to explain. So hope you guys have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Sorry guys, one last thing that I did want to mention was that it is what is it, end of quarter window dressing. So today's the 29th, tomorrow's the 30th. This could be the beginning of some type of window dressing action, shenanigans, whatever you want to call it. So just keep that in mind. Again, tomorrow should be an interesting day to see what they want to do for end of quarter. Okay, that's all. See you guys tomorrow.